Hey guys, welcome to the start of a new weekly reading vlog. So I took a little bit of an unexpected break from vlogging there. If you guys don't know why, I did make a whole video on it. My cat Hamilton is currently at the vet. Now I am going to just run you through where he's at so far real quick, because when I made the video with what was wrong with him, it was a whole separate issue that we thought was wrong with him than actually was. And I did insert a little bit of a clip quite late into the video with my most recent update from the vet, but essentially he had rectal lesions. We don't know how he got those. We may never know. It's possible he was in a fight with a cat. It's possible that he accidentally scratched himself up on something out in the garden. But essentially he had exterior and interior rectal lesions, which caused a whole ton of leakage that I don't want to go into the specifics of here. It's really disgusting. But all the swelling that we thought was around his tail was not actually swelling. It was the leakage of certain bodily fluids that had packed into a whole ton of interior areas where they shouldn't be. So he had surgery to scoop it all out. The exterior lesions were widened, the interior ones were sealed, and they've been managing that as an open wound over the last, how long has it been? 5 days, I want to say now. He had surgery last Wednesday. So we've had forward progress, we've had backwards progress. So we've had continual healing of this area. We have also had a couple of tissue breakdowns that they've had to go back in and repair. They tried to take his catheter out. He still isn't urinating, which is possibly an issue because that is the main life-threatening kind of reason that we were referred to a specialist. Didn't turn out to be the main life-threatening reason he had. They were the rectal lesions and the possible sepsis, which did turn out to be a little bit of sepsis. But we're at a very low risk of sepsis right now. The wounds are healing well. He had another one of those little mini repairals yesterday, and the vet said that they are hoping to close that exterior wound at the beginning to middle of this week. So I am not an overly superstitious person, but I don't like to speak in absolutes. I don't mind manifesting things when things aren't bad, but when there's like a possible negative outcome, I don't like to say that things are going to turn out a certain way when they may not turn out a certain way. If things aren't going well, this vlog isn't getting posted. So if you're seeing this, then it means that there is at least good news throughout this vlog. I am hoping that provided everything goes well, that Hamilton will also be able to return home this week, which would be fab. But at the minute, the updates from the vet have been decent. The only other negative we have is that there is a section of the skin on his tail that was affected by all of this leakage that may not recover, so it is possible he will need his tail amputating, but right now it is not a big concern and it could still heal itself. And then aside from that, we just have the ongoing bladder thing, which the vet has said, fingers crossed that it is this, the vet has said that he thinks it's extremely likely that that could be a pain thing. So when Hamilton is trying to urinate, he's applying the pressure to his bladder and that hurts because of his internal injuries, I guess, and he's holding back. So the other option is a possible infection that stemmed from this injury, wasn't caught in time and has caused nerve damage. So I'm hoping that that is not the case and it is more of a pain issue, but we will find out over the course of at least, I want to say, most of this week. I don't think he's going to be coming home in the next couple of days, but I really hope he comes home soon because I miss him a lot. I'm doing a lot better, which is why I'm here today. But at the same time as that, I am also still a little bit anxious, a little bit unsure. I'm kind of getting back at it, especially this week. I have a slightly reduced work schedule this week, but still a work schedule where I'm going to be focusing on actually getting some stuff done. But I have that feeling, I'm sure some of you guys may relate if you've ever dealt with anything similar to this or any type of grief or loss, or you have, like, if you lived with your parents and then you moved out. I have the feeling of like I can't function as normal because something is wrong, and the thing that is wrong is that Hamilton isn't here. It's like a very subconscious noticing constantly that he isn't here. Like, he doesn't make a whole ton of noise unless he's running up and down the stairs or doing zoomies or meowing at me. A lot of the time he's just asleep, being quiet, but there's something in me that knows that he's not here right now, which makes it difficult for me because I do thrive on routine. It makes it difficult for me to go about my normal routine and schedule as normal, but I'm trying my best this week and we're getting back into vlogging. So I had my hefty Bookopoly TBR. When all of this stuff started going on and I definitely stopped prioritizing reading, I decided that we're not taking a punishment for not completing June's Bookopoly. I've had terrible luck over last week. The first thing that happened was we noticed Hamilton was injured. The same day as that, I also broke my car. I think it was 2 days after that I broke my spin bike. I fixed my spin bike. I smashed a TV accidentally, and then I broke my spin bike again. So my luck is terrible. I don't know if there's something going on with the planets. I don't know if somebody out there is cursing me, but it's just not a good month. So I've given up on my TBR a little bit, and I'm just prioritizing all of my like group books, books for read-alongs and book clubs and buddy reads. So I am actually currently reading a romance. I'm reading Nation of the Sun by H.R. Moore. You guys may have seen, but I have just very recently scheduled a interview with the author H.R. Moore, who is a fantasy romance author. That interview is going to take place on the 25th of June at 8 p.m. BST UK time, and it is going to be celebrating the release of H.R. Moore's newest book, which is out very, very soon, slightly before the interview, which is called Nation of the Sun. So I do have an e-arc of that, and I'm currently 40% into it, and this one is a low fantasy romance, so it is set in the real world. It's set in London, and it is kind of dual perspective. It's told in third person, but it does mainly follow our two main characters, who are Amari and Casper. Amari and Casper are both demons, and demons go through this process of reincarnation, and eventually at some point throughout their lifetime they will kind of have an awakening and remember that they are demons and remember all of their past lives. But where we're at the beginning of this story is where Casper has awakened and Amari hasn't, and there seems to be a recurring theme where he kind of wakes up first and has to shake her out of it, because they are also essentially soulmates. They've been together throughout all of their lifetimes, although over the last few lifetimes they've been through a little bit of a rough patch, and Casper is a little bit scared of Amari waking up because for the past couple of lifetimes she's been real mad at him, although as a reader we don't know what he actually did. There's also like bigger stuff at play. There is this society of demons. They're separated into different nations. Two of the main ones is that the main characters in the UK and across most of Europe are part of the pagan nation, and then the US ones are called the Templars, and there's a lot of tension between those two factions, and it's possible that they may go to war, and everyone is waiting for Amari, or Raina, which is her real name. Amari is her name in this lifetime, but they're waiting for her to wake up so that she can take charge, because in the past few lifetimes she has had an integral part in the dealings with the Templars. There's a whole lot of things like artifacts and stuff in here, which is really interesting, that has like belonged to the demons throughout the ages, and they are trying to bring her to her senses, I guess. One, because Casper wants his soulmate back, and two, because of this brewing war. So I'm 40% into this so far, and I am really enjoying it actually. It's very readable, it's very compelling. I will say that I think there are a few too many characters, because there are so many demons. I think there's about 5 or 6 demons outside of Casper and Amari, and it's not dialogue heavy, like it's not from Blood and Ash, but there is a little bit more like telling instead of showing that is present in the dialogue than I usually prefer. But other than that, I am really enjoying it, and I've written down a couple of points that I would like to bring up in our interview, and I'm excited to see how it wraps up. One of my favorite tropes in concept, because it's like a concept that I'm really into, but I haven't actually read that many books that feature it, is reincarnation, especially when it comes to romance. So I'm really excited to see how that plays out as well. I do have one more book that I'm definitely going to be reading this week, which I am buddy reading with Simon from Savage Reads. We also have some reading sprints on Wednesday evening where we're both going to be reading this book, and that one is Take a Hint, Danny Brown. This one is an adult contemporary romance with a fake dating trope in it, but I will tell you more about this when I get to it. I seem to know a lot about Chloe Brown before I went into that, but I don't know much about Danny aside from that it follows Chloe's sister and there's a fake dating trope, but I'll let you know as we go through it. In terms of the books that you've missed while I haven't been vlogging, you've only really missed one book because I've read 4 books in total for the month of June, but 2 of them were comics in the same series. One of them was a novella, which is Sight Witch by Susan Dennard, which I have just done a live show on this weekend as part of Witchlands Long on Cody from Cody's Book Corners channel. So I will link that if you guys would like to check it out. And then I've also read The Painted Man by, oh my god, what's his name? Peter V. Brett, which I was reading when all of this stuff with Hamilton happened and I only just finished. So my review on that in the minute would be a little bit hazy because of everything that was going on in my headspace while I was reading that. So in terms of what I have read in the 2 weeks that I have, well, I vlogged for 1 week, didn't post it, and then just didn't vlog last week at all. So that is all you've really missed in terms of reading. I've also been doing a ton of diamond painting. When I fixed my spin bike, I've got back into working out daily. That's definitely helped to make me feel better and work through some stress. I've been getting daily updates from the vet. With every day that passes, they bring me less anxiety because they're less likely to be awful, and they're bringing me a little bit of better news than they were this time last week, because this time last week was the worst day when the updates kind of reached their worst before we got him to a specialist. Regarding Hamilton, I do also just want to say thank you guys so much for all your donations towards his specialist care. It's very frustrating because if the first vet that I had him at, my local vets, would have diagnosed this earlier, there is a chance that I would not have needed donations for specialist care. There is a chance that they would have actually been able to take care of the injury, but they just completely missed it and referred him to a specialist for something that wasn't actually wrong with him. But I am very, very glad that he's at a specialist now because I definitely trust him in their care. They're very on it. They do the most. They kind of cover all of the possible things. They take tests just to be sure, and they give you like really thorough updates. I've also had videos sent to me from the vets to see how he's doing, and they seem to be having a grand old time with him, to be fair. He's giving the nurses lots of cuddles and trying to escape occasionally when they go in to like feed him and take him out and look at him and things like that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for your help. I hate having to ask. I hate having to be reliant on other people, but sometimes you have to swallow your pride and ask for help, and it fucking sucks. But I'm so grateful that you guys were so willing to help me in a time when I needed it, and that you guys have provided so much support, even if you weren't donating, if you were letting me know you were thinking of me, sending well wishes, all of that stuff. It was all very much appreciated. So I've been going on for way longer than normal because it has been a little bit of time, and I wanted to give you just a little bit of a recap. I don't have too much work to do today because today will be the day that I'm normally editing my vlog. So I'm going to take this opportunity to get a little bit more organized. I'm planning a new candle release, fingers crossed, for next Friday. And I think it's going to be a V Schwab release. I'm planning like 1 candle per series. So I need to like work on the labels and stuff for that. I also want to place a fragrance oil order today. I have to chase up my jars, which were supposed to arrive last Wednesday and never turned up. And the company have not responded to my query, so I may have to call them and see what's going on there. And I also want to plan out my content for the rest of this month and also most of next month, because most of next month is like mid-year content, so it's just a matter of putting the videos that I want where I want them. But this month we have a little bit more work to do because there's quite a few slots where I don't know what videos I'm making. So I'm gonna get organized, I'm gonna water my plants, and then I'm going to probably do a little bit of a tidy round or go out into the garden and do some weeding because my garden's getting quite overgrown. Do some reading, eat some food, do some exercise, and see where the day takes us. It is, I didn't say actually, it's 7:30 a.m. I woke up at 6 a.m. and couldn't go back to sleep. So here we are. Good morning, how we all doing? I have just not great, like puffy, terrible eyes right now, but I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm gonna go and get my vaccine. So it is 10:20, Curtis is booked in for 10:55 and I'm booked in for 11:25. So I'm gonna go get that done. I'm not really nervous. I'm not bothered about vaccines and injections of that variety. I have heard you can have some side effects, but like I get a flu jab normally, so I'm probably gonna be fine. But yeah, that's where I'm off to very, very soon, and I will be taking Nation of the Sun with me because I have to sit in the car and wait for 30 minutes while Curtis gets his before I can get mine. We really should have coordinated with the times. This is the problem. Like, we matched up our second vaccines within 5 minutes of each other, but the first one we were in different rooms and we're 30 minutes out.
This is how it begins. On a Saturday night in the master light, with a drink in your hand. Don't be telling me twice, cause you know it's inside. You can feel it within. Gotta dive right in. Get a feel like any of your mind, oh. So go out and live. You feel the butterflies, they tell you it's right. Gotta dive right in. Heaven hold us in ecstasy. It's contagious. My heart is sweet. Embrace this new rush, and we will be forever dreaming. Now can't you see? This is how it begins. Get a feel like any of your mind, oh.
Hey. So I'm currently hosting reading sprints for whateverthon on my channel. I just thought I would come in and take this opportunity to actually give you guys an update. I'm also going to turn this on because the uneven lighting is really bothering me. But my lack of updates has kind of been intentional. I started this vlog with the intention to vlog this week. However, we had a little bit of a setback with Hamilton on Tuesday where things were looking actually really bad. So the wound that I was talking about that he's got the open wound that they're managing and keeping that open so that they can get in, like, do stuff if they need to, and then he has the actual, I think it's the original wound that caused all of this that they've been trying to stitch up and get to heal. Now that was consistently not healing and the tissue kept breaking down and dying, which meant that the stitches would disintegrate essentially because there'd be nothing for them to attach onto and they'd have to restitch him up. This kind of breakdown is typical with these injuries because of the area it is in, which is an area that is constantly covered in bacteria and also an area that is always wet. For the first few times it happened, they were like, fair enough, this does happen. But then they called me on Tuesday and said, I think we may be at a point soon where we have to stop. So I was really upset on Tuesday because it seemed like we weren't going to get through this. Like, it just wasn't going to heal even though he was making progress in other areas. He also had a fever and an infection again on Tuesday. I asked them to continue for a little bit while he wasn't overly ill. Like, he was still okay. If we could get it to heal, he would still be okay. And yesterday they rang me and said that they'd got some bacteria samples back from the lab that showed that he had developed a resistant strain of bacteria, and that was probably the reason why this wound wasn't holding. So now that they know that he has that bacteria, they are giving him antibiotics specifically targeting that bacteria, and since then the wound has held. So Wednesday night the wound held. They also took his catheter out for the first time and he peed by himself 3 times. His fever is down, he's a lot more lively, he's eating. And then the update that I got today, I was a little bit hesitant to update you guys in case anything changed, but the update we got today, he's also pooped, which we were concerned that he could be fecally incontinent, which meant that he would be dropping like little poo nuggets 2 or 3 times a day, which is inconvenient but completely manageable and not something that I was gonna like stop him getting treatment for. But it was a concern and we didn't know at that point. He is now in the night got up and gone to the litter tray by himself and pooped. This caused havoc for the nurses because he pooped all over his bandaging and they had to kind of scramble in the middle of the night to clean him up without being able to undo all the bandaging and stuff before his dressing check this morning. He's also being a bit more lively. He pretty much has designated cuddle time because he's so demanding of people's attention and so friendly. So he's getting lots of cuddles, he's getting lots of love, he's not incontinent in any way, shape or form, and the wound is still holding. So essentially what we have to do now is just wait and hope that it holds. And that's the position that we're in. I think it's going to be a couple of days, I would say at least 2 days before they start to stitch up that open wound that they're managing. But as far as I can tell, I don't think they anticipate having any issues with that healing or anything. It's just they do need it to be open so that they've got access and they don't have to keep cutting the stitches and breaking down healing skin to be able to get in if they need to. And then after that, I think they'll be keeping him a couple of days to just monitor him and make sure everything's okay before he can come home. So that is where we're at. Keeping my fingers crossed that everything's just going to kind of stay as it is right now and he's going to continue to heal and I can have him back very soon, which is amazing because I'm missing him so much. Like when I'm in the kitchen working, I'll see like a shadow by the window ledge. It's probably like a bird flying through my garden or something, but I always think that it's him in the window asking to be let in, and sadly it's not. So I'm going to be so happy to have him back. I've also missed my cuddles because he's like so cuddly and so demanding of attention constantly. I like to flatter myself and say that he's a mama's boy and he loves me and he doesn't want to be away from me and he just wants my attention. But I mean, if he spent a day with you and he thinks you're all right, which he does for most people, he will want attention from you. So I'm actually not all that special. I guess if there was a room full of people he could get attention off, I would be his first choice, which I'm very happy about. But he's just happy to get cuddles from anyone, really. So I'm still reading Nation of the Sun. I'm about 60% of the way through, and I've also started Take a Hint Danny Brown, and I'm at about the halfway point in this one. So Danny Brown so far is very similar to Chloe, which, as you can expect, it's the same family, same series. But Danny Brown is a PhD student who is working at a university, and she is friends with a security guard named Zafia, who used to be a professional rugby player. However, his brother and his father died in a car accident and he gave up rugby and just never went back. Since then, he's set up a charitable foundation where he coaches the boys rugby team and also teaches them to kind of embrace the emotions and how to deal with mental health, drawing on his own experience from the aftermath of the car accident that 2 members of his family died in. So there's a fire drill at the university and Danny gets trapped in the lift, and Zaf is like a real stickler for rules, so he goes and looks for her. It's only a drill, but he gets her out of the lift. She didn't know at the time that it was a drill, and he ends up carrying her out of the building. So loads of people get this on camera and it ends up going viral with the hashtag Dr. Rugby, where people think that they're in a relationship, and because of that, Zafia's charity organization Tackle It is getting a lot of attention. So they decide to enter into a fake relationship together so that he can get more publicity for his charity and increase donations and all of that good stuff. Danny as well is a little bit of a commitment phobe. She loves friends with benefits, she loves having sex, but she does not like committed relationships. Where Zaf listens to romance audiobooks, he reads romance, it's pretty much exclusively all he reads, and he desperately wants a happily ever after, and those two are very obviously into each other, like they know that they're into each other, but Danny doesn't allow herself to have relationships, and Zaf does not normally have sex with somebody unless it means something. So I'm really enjoying this. I'm also really loving the banter in this one. In Chloe Brown, it was very much like not aggressive but argumentative, and they were challenging each other. In this one, it is very flirtatious because they are both attracted to each other and they're not really trying to hide it. So it is very flirtatious banter, and I'm living for it right now. So those are all of my reading updates. So I'm going to head back to my sprints. I'm buddy reading this with Simon from Savage Reads, which I'm pretty sure I said, but I'm not entirely sure. And I need to get, I'm on page 168 and I need to get to page 284 today, so I have 120 pages to read, and I'll also see if I can read some of Nation of the Sun as well, because I expected to be finished with that today, but I haven't been prioritizing reading. I'm still getting through a decent amount, like at least 100 pages a day I want to say, but I've also just been like taking it slow, especially on days like Tuesday where the news was really bad. Looking after myself, and reading is part of that. Reading is part of looking after myself, because obviously it is something that I very much enjoy, but I'm not letting it become stressful, which is good. Like, it proves that I do still enjoy it if I'm still managing to read around 100 pages a day when I'm not putting any pressure on that. First off, Hamilton update. Still going really well at the moment. Yesterday he was still continuing to improve. He's also getting to the point where they can actually work on the area that they're working on without having to anesthetize him or sedate him fully. So he's under very light sedation, and then this morning they did it without any sedation at all. Everything's healing, nothing's breaking down, nothing's looking bad, there's no pus, everything's holding together, we have healing there. So it is all at the minute looking good, and I am so thrilled, because the last 2 weeks have been hell, honestly. Just being up and down all the time. First, the unsurety of not actually knowing what's wrong with him, thinking that it couldn't be fixed without even like truly knowing what it was. Getting a diagnosis that was actually worse. He had a 50% chance when we got the diagnosis, and then on Tuesday it wasn't looking good. Like, they didn't think that he was going to pull through this and he was going to make it all, and he's completely turned it around in the last few days, and he's on a steady upward incline, and it looks like he might be coming home next week, and I'm honestly just so happy. So great news on that front. Once again, thank you to everybody who has donated to help out with his care. I haven't checked it today, but we are just over the 6,000 mark, and I think his estimate is going to be just over 8,000. I have already paid a lot of that off as well. I've paid off 5,500 so far, so whatever is left I will pay off when he is discharged, and I think they are going to be sewing up the wound that they've left open on Monday, and then we'll see what they say from there. So excellent news on that front. In terms of reading, last night I finished Take a Hint, Dani Brown, and I did give it 5 stars. I really enjoyed this. I'm really enjoying Talia Hibbert's romances. Next month I'm going to be buddy reading Eve Brown with Simon as well, because we buddy read this one and Chloe Brown. I will say that it does read very much like Chloe. It's kind of like the same thing with different characters, which is kind of, it's bad because it's repetitive. It's just like pretty much the same story. I didn't find a whole ton of differences between Chloe and Dani's voice, but it's a good thing in terms of I really loved Chloe and I wanted more from that because I enjoyed it so much, but I didn't want any more of Chloe and Red, because if you added anything onto that it would just be like angst for the sake of angst, so that the book had a conflict. So even though it was a little bit repetitive and felt a little bit samey, I still thoroughly enjoyed it. In terms of whether I prefer this one over Chloe, I think I definitely prefer Zaf over Red, but I think I actually prefer Chloe over Dani as characters. So I don't have a verdict on which one I prefer, but they are both very good, very similar tones, and I just really enjoyed them. It was really funny as well, of course, and I still stand by what I said about if you were a fan of the Georgia Nicholson series growing up, then this is like an adult version of Georgia Nicholson with the humor. So this was actually on my Bookopoly TBR to read romance, and I don't think have I even mentioned Whateverthon in this vlog, which I'm co-hosting. This got me 300 points for Whateverthon, so my points total at the minute is 1,575, I think. Not as much as I would like to have had, but I'm doing all right considering I've read, like, this was my 7th book of the month, but we had 2 comics, 2 novellas, 1 standard length book. It's my 6th book of the month actually. I don't know. I don't even know what's happening this month. But for the rest of the day I'm going to be reading Nation of the Sun. I have my Kindle with the estimated time. It's saying I have like an hour and 20 minutes left on that, so it's not going to take me too long. And this morning I've been out and done a little bit of a food shop, got my dad a card for Father's Day, and I'm going to be calling him very soon as well because he is going to be fixing my car, and he asked me to get a quote on a car part, which I have done, but I think I'm gonna go down and see him tomorrow. I don't know, because I don't have a car right now, and Curtis obviously has his own father that he's gonna be going to see, but I think I'm gonna go see my dad tomorrow, drop off a gift and a card. And today I wasn't actually sure what I was going to do, but I'm thinking well, since we've moved in, the only rooms that I've actually properly decorated is this one and the living room. I've also painted the landing but done nothing with it aside from that, just because it was like a easy thing to do when I wanted to make a little bit more progress on the house. And I haven't touched my bedroom at all, so I'm thinking over the next few months I'm going to make a start on my bedroom. The reason why we haven't touched the bedroom is because we need a new carpet, whereas like in the other rooms like this one I just needed to paint the walls and add like soft furnishings because we already had laminate floor down and that was fine. I may go get a tub of white paint because I'm nearly out of white paint after doing the landing, but I can make a start on that maybe next weekend. And because we're heading in that way, I'm just gonna have a stroll around Dunell Mill. It's purely gonna be window shopping I think, but I'm going to have a look at just homeware because homeware makes me happy, and see what they have in because I haven't been for a while. I'm also thinking about getting a ladder bookshelf, so I'll have a look and see if they have any of those and what they're like, and maybe have a look at some of the soft furnishings and stuff. I just want, you know, like something kind of normal to do to cheer me up a little bit. And also with Hamilton probably coming home next week, I don't know how much like supervision he's going to need in terms of continued recovery and healing from his injury. I mean, chances are he's a really chilled out cat. He'll probably be fine and not be too much trouble, but at least the first week when he's back I'm not really going to want to be going out for more than like an hour. So we thought we'd have a little casual day trip and do a little bit of browsing and window shopping today. Good evening, or should I say good morning, because it is now 2 AM. But I have just finished Nation of the Sun by H.R. Moore and I liked it. I didn't love it, but I did like it. It has lots of interesting themes that I really like. Like it has the theme of reincarnations with the demons in the story. Like every time they die, they're reincarnated into a new life. I also really loved the like soulmate across lifetimes kind of theme that we had here. And there is also a lot in this book that surrounds like artifacts, because the demons have lived so many lives. They've collected things across their entire longer lifespans, and they have like not communal houses, but the pagan nation, which is like the particular demon nation that the main characters are from, have houses that are just like kind of transferred throughout lifetime so that they always belong to the pagans, and they can kind of keep all of their stuff safe. So I liked the element of history in here, and I also liked the little bit of exploration we got of a couple of other different demon nations, because there is a little bit of travel in here as well. I had just like a couple of small issues with it. The first one is that I don't even know if it's necessarily pacing. Like, I feel like the pacing is fine throughout, but I prefer a little bit of a slow burn romance, and I feel like with the introduction of this almost soulmate kind of bond right from the early stages of this book, I wasn't feeling the romance as much as I normally would be. It's also low fantasy, which typically just not my preference. I'm definitely a high fantasy kind of gal. I also feel like the ending, kind of like where this book ended, it feels like it's on a point where we're building up to something, as opposed to feeling like the characters have actually accomplished something. And I would have liked that kind of little bit of satisfaction, even if it was like just a resolution of a minor plot line. Like, if we built up to a minor conclusion at the end of this, where it very much felt like things are beginning, which gave the book kind of like a feel of a very long prologue. But it's actually that book's birthday today. It was released today, so happy birthday to Nation of the Sun. If anything I've said sounds like something you're interested in, then definitely pick it up. We love to support indie authors, and I also believe it's on Kindle Unlimited, so you can read it on there if you so wish. I also have a interview coming up with HR More this coming Friday, the Friday of the week this video is posted, at 8 p.m. So also please do tune into that if you would like to hear me talk to Harriet about all things Nation of the Sun, her inspiration for the story and the series, what she has in store maybe for future installments, without spoilers of course, and just generally all things writing and reading. So it's like 2 a.m, which I think I've already said. I don't even have a clue anymore. I've had a little bit of a down day today. Everything with Hamilton is okay. I am slightly concerned because he stopped peeing again. In terms of his wound and all of that stuff that wasn't good previously, that is still holding together. Everything is still good in that regard, but he has stopped peeing, which, like it has been, could be related to like pain or discomfort or stress, and I do feel like he's proven that he has the ability to pee. So I feel like I shouldn't be concerned about it, but with it being over the weekend, the vet that's been looking after him is one who is pretty much just looking after him until other members of the team come in on Monday, because the specific vet that I've been dealing with throughout all of this has I think he's got a week off now, so I probably won't talk to him again, which is sad. But one of the team that has been working with Hamilton will be back in tomorrow, so I'll get a better picture of what's going on. I do also think that they're going to be sealing the open wound they've been managing tomorrow, and I may have a better picture of when he's going to be discharged, but I do think it is going to be, fingers crossed, sometime next week, and I'm really excited. Aside from that just like little niggle that's been bothering me, I think I've just not overdone it this weekend, but I've had a very stressful 2 weeks. And yesterday, as I mentioned, we went to Dunelm. I didn't pick anything up that I wanted. I got a lamp, that is it, my bedside table, because reading with the main light on, because we don't have any lamps in there, really hurts my eyes. And then by the time we got home, it was like going on 5 o'clock, so I felt like I'd lost a big part of the day. And then today was Father's Day, so I went out to see my dad. I still don't have a working car, so Curtis dropped me off at my dad's, and we got home from there at 5 p.m. He went to see his dad while I was with mine. So once again, I feel like I've lost like the main bulk of my day. So I feel like I've just kind of overdone it in terms of not having time to sit and rest and recharge properly, because I do feel like I'm definitely a daytime person in terms of getting all of my productive stuff done and feeling best in the daytime. And as it starts to get dark, I get this sense of like doom that the day is over. I did spend some time this afternoon or like early evening setting up my Twitch channel. I have had Twitch for a while. I haven't been using it. I used it at like the beginning of the pandemic last year, and then I stopped streaming, and I wanted to start again, but I was playing World of Warcraft, which is fine. I love World of Warcraft, but I play most of my games on console, and I wanted to be able to stream those games. So we sorted out how to get it, because we already had an Elgato, because Curtis used to stream and he wanted it, so I bought it for him for like an anniversary about 3 years ago probably now. So we already had all of the equipment. It was just setting it up and getting all the settings right so that I actually worked through my laptop. So I spent some time doing that. I got like an overlay for it so it looks all pretty and stuff. But like the thing is, I did all that and then I remembered that the reason that I don't stream is because I already make videos and then I do live streams like author interviews, reading sprints, book clubs. I struggle to find time in the week to relax, so streaming is not going to help me with that, is it? But it is something that I would very much like to do. I'm not going to have like a schedule with it, I think, like I do with BookTube. It will be an if and when kind of thing. But if that's something you want to check out, then the link is always in my description box. Once again, a big thank you to everybody who has donated to Hamilton's vet fees. Thank you so much for helping me to bring my boy home. That is about the end of this week's vlog. I hope that Hammy is coming home next week and we can have that moment in the vlog. And in terms of reading next week, I don't know what I'm doing because I have a brand new candle product launch as well. It's going to be a V Schwab range. This is the first time I've announced it anywhere publicly. Friday, 6 p.m. BST, graceandhoneyuk.net. I also have a couple of appointments next week. I'm gonna have to pick Hammy up from the vets, I think, fingers crossed, sometime next week. So I don't know exactly what I'm gonna be reading, but I think it's gonna be fantasy. That's all I can tell you right now because that's all I know. So I hope you enjoyed this vlog. If you made it this far, I don't feel like it was my best, but please forgive me because stuff and stress. And of course, please don't forget to like if you liked it and subscribe if you wanna. And I will see you guys next week, hopefully with better content and in a better mood. Bye!
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you'll go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.